Hey guys, Catcom here with Studio Sweat, and I'm here with my favorite other trainer.
Hi guys, Sidekick Bethany.
How you doing?
A while. I'm good. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Good.
Oh, sorry, I just kicked you.
She just totally kicked me. I almost fell off of this thing.
That's what I do. Today, Carrie Lamoureux, and I'm probably saying that wrong, but just I tried.
We're close.
And many others have had this question. Why can't I get into the red zone?
Yeah. For me, honestly, I wouldn't stress too much about it. It does happen.
Yeah.
Part of the reason is you're fit. Number one is you might be really fit.
Yeah, that would be the ideal scenario, right? That would be the ideal case. So let's talk about what the red zone is. I know we kind of jumped ahead there. But the red zone is anytime you're over 90% max heart rate. So to truly be in your red zone, so this is the next thing that I want to talk about, what should it feel like?
Semi-awful.
Yeah, well said.
Like really, you don't want to be there for a long time.
No.
You're kind of, picture yourself like doing an all-out sprint, and at maybe those last 10 seconds, you're hitting that red zone, and all you want to do is stop.
Right.
That is when you're in your red zone.
Yeah, your mouth only breathing, you're practically gasping for air.
Yes.
So I think that that's something that people don't really get. And a lot of people aren't necessarily comfortable pushing themselves to that level. But that is what red zone means. If you're showing red zone on your heart rate monitor, so this is all, gosh, I'm backing up even a little further.
Yeah, if you're wearing the monitor.
This is if you're tracking your heart rate. So, but if you're watching this vlog, I assume you know what this means. So, I think a lot of people might have the wrong resting heart rate in whatever app they're using to track their heart rate, and it's showing in the red zone when they're maybe really not. So I know when I just got back from vacation and I was off for a couple of weeks and I came back, I was popping into that red zone
me too.
like pretty easily. Because the other thing that you have to think about is what's going on in your life, what's been going on with your workouts. Were you at a high elevation? Are you low? All of that matters as far as what your heart's going to do.
Right. So the week I had to take a week off because my kiddo was in the hospital. So literally all I did was sit for a week in the hospital. And that first week coming back, I struggled. I was in the red zone a lot. I felt totally out of shape and unfit. Therefore, my heart rate was in the red zone a lot. And I knew it was just for a short-term type of a thing, and it would kind of level itself out the following week, and it did.
Yeah, and if it doesn't, if you're using a tool like MyZone, it should automatically adjust. But one of the things that I suggest is that you do a manual check of where your heart rate is and knowing what your max heart rate is. So rather than just using averages, make sure you know what your resting heart rate is and make sure that that's correctly entered into the monitor app, whatever it is that you're using. So how to do that, manual check, 60-second count, start with 0. So I don't do the 15 seconds, I do the full 60 seconds to get the most accurate count. So,
and when do you recommend that they do that?
That's a good point. I recommend that you do that before you get out of bed.
Yes.
So you're gonna set some sort of alarm and do that check to get your resting heart rate.
And I would even set my alarm, hang out there for maybe a minute or two, because when you set your alarm, it kind of startles you, which is going to make your heart rate jump up even a little higher than normal.
Yeah. So
let yourself calm back down and then start taking it. And I would do that for a couple of days to kind of get the trend and the pattern of it.
Yeah, and then take the average. Yeah. And don't drink coffee before you do it. So that's how you'll truly know what your resting heart rate is. So maybe your resting heart rate is not right in whatever it is that you're tracking. So check that. Another thing that you can just think about is the rate of perceived exertion. So that's that scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is I can do something all day long, 10 is I literally have to stop. If you're truly to the point where your body is like, no mas, stop what you're doing because I'm about to ruin, that's when you know you're in the red zone, right? Or you're close to the red zone.
And you don't want to stay in the red zone for a long time either. I've seen some of the readouts of people who post them, and sometimes I've seen a whole block of red.
Yeah, and that's a clear indicator that their heart rate is not entered properly. Their resting heart rate is not entered properly, because there is no true way that your body can sustain being in the red zone for longer than a minute, maybe 2 minutes max, before it will truly just collapse on you.
You have to stop.
And so that's one other thing to think about is if you're getting to the point where you're lightheaded or nauseous, you just stop. Your sprint needs to be done at that point, and then be careful, okay, after that. And you shouldn't let it get to that point. So you stop just short of that. So
Yeah.
it's kind of that push into the glass ceiling, maybe crack the glass, but once it breaks, you better back off.
Yeah. So I feel like their true root question though was, why can't I ever get into the red zone?
Okay, yes.
And I feel like I'm going to answer that for me personally.
Yeah.
I used to teach a class on Monday nights, and then I would come right back in here the next day and have to teach again on Tuesday. My body was fatigued. It was not ready to roll again because I gave 100% effort on Monday night, and Tuesday my body was like, I don't really want to do this anymore. And on Tuesdays, I hardly ever got into the red zone, maybe for a little blip. But it was mainly like yellows and greens for those of you
Your body
users.
wasn't allowing you to push
My
to
body
that
wasn't
level.
allowing you to do it. So think of that at home in your workouts. How often are you working out? Are you working out one day, turning right around and doing it the next day? Because if so, that could be a problem as to why, not a problem. Might be an indication of why you can't get back into that red zone like you want to be.
Might be.
And that doesn't necessarily mean that's a bad workout that you had that next day. You're still getting that calorie burn. You're still working on your endurance. You're still getting your heart pumping and your blood going. So getting into that red zone is not always the goal.
Yeah. But if it is,
it's okay not to be there.
If they do, why would you want? Let's take it to this question. Why would you go to the red zone? Because when you go to the red zone, you are taking your fitness to the next level. You are challenging your heart rate. You are challenging your body to its max. When you do that, you are literally taking your fitness to the next level.
Yes.
By strengthening your heart and strengthening your body and strengthening your cardio capacity. What that means is truly your resting heart rate should drop. When I first started working out pretty hard, my resting heart rate was in the mid 60s, which is good, it's pretty average.
Now you're in like the low 50s, aren't you? Or high 40s? You're like crazy low.
No, I'm in the high 30s.
Oh my gosh.
And that's years and years of tapping into that red zone.
Yeah.
So my heart is so strong that my veins are like pulsing out of my forehead sometimes because my heart like goes boom every time it beats.
It's really cute when it does that.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I feel so sexy. Trade-offs. But to really truly get into that red zone, those are the things, all of those things that you said are true. But a lot of people don't push as hard as they think they push.
Yes.
For me, on the spin bike, for example, and I will tell you this, you're asking me how. Personally, what I have to do is I really have to crank that resistance. And so my body doesn't respond quite as much to speed because of how I'm built, but it really responds to resistance. So if I crank that dial into that heavy gear and I am standing and I am grinding, not mashing, but grinding away, that is when I can get to that point where I'm, then I come out of it. So it might be the stuff that Bethany talked about, but maybe you're not pushing hard enough to get into that red zone. Is that your goal or is it not? If it is, and you want to try it and you can do so safely, maybe try things like adding more resistance, going just a little bit longer. So those are things that I would suggest. But do so safely.
Yep,
All right,
I agree.
Anything else?
I don't think so.
All right, you guys, for those body sculpting, fat torching, red zone inducing workouts,
Come to Studio Sweat here in San Diego or check us out on Studio Sweat On Demand.
all right,
Have a
go
great
Red
day.
Zone!
Red Zone!